it's always been about the smile of the woman that walks out the door from the beginning. But now that smile has a ripple effect. It's not just her, because you involve all the people around her even more now. That's what you guys teach. It's not just one person. Every person connected to that person is a client, and you have to treat them that way. So it has a ripple effect. If you lift one person, that person goes out and lifts other people. So if you can play a small part in that, well, you've hit jackpot, I think.
Hey, and welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And we have a very, very, very special podcast today. Why? We have so many difference makers joining us because this is our 100th podcast. Can you believe that, guys? A bit of consistency, right? Jeanine, that's unusual for us.
Can't believe I'm 100 today. That's so good.
There we go. There we go.
I look so young for 100.
All right. So I think before we talk to all the difference makers who are joining us, Jeanine, what was your favorite podcast and why?
So it's funny you asked, and I was even prepared for this, right? We knew this question ahead of time. It's hard. It was hard for me to pick my favorite podcast episode. There's a couple of ones we recently recorded that I really loved. But I have two that stand out in my mind. One, I really enjoyed filming the Barbie podcast last year. It was fun talking about something unique, something different, something special to my heart. And talking about how to wrangle in current ideas into promotions that you're doing. So I love that. But my favorite, I think, really is the one where we talked about mindset and shifting your mindset. And when Steve interviewed me coming off of the problems that we had at the studio with the flood and everything like that, and having to get back into being working towards a positive solution for the studio and getting back on it and not staying in that lull of when something bad happens to you. Because it's so real life, right? Like our lives aren't always just roses and chocolates and happy days and things like that, right? Bad things happen. And so how do you overcome them and how do you change your mindset? So I thought that was a really valuable one. I thought it was a really great conversation that we had. So I would make that my favorite.
All right. You've been hanging around with Steve far too long. You went on longer than your allocated time, but we let you wait this time. Now, Steve, Jeanine has taken some of your time. So what was your favorite podcast?
We have allocated time? What? When is that been thing?
Yeah, when did that? He just said that because Steve is about to start talking.
This is my time. Sit it. You're cutting into my time. Definitely has got to be planning a client appreciation event. Close to my heart. Love when we get to bring in our clients and run an event for them and just plan it out how it's going to help us and how that's, celebrating those people that support us. It's great.
Look at that. Imagine that was quick for you, Steve. I tell you that.
Well, once I knew there was a time frame.
Jonathan, what's yours?
Oh, there's so many. I really love the 98 and 99 that we did on increasing your sales, because we talked about the effortless workshop that we've just come back from a couple of weeks ago. And there were some golden nuggets in there. We got Steve doing some live demos of describing photography. It was great. But I have to go back to episode 90. And it was Secrets to a Successful Business. And there's one where I kind of got on my high horse a bit, because you see so often in the sphere of photography and the forums, people talking about their average sale and their average order. And I think it's really, really great to post those wins and share those wins and talk about, the great sales you have. But I think a lot of people take it out of context because, some people who see those high sales think that they've gotten those high sales because the quality of their work is so amazing. Or you have people who post these high sales who don't have a business. So I think that a lot of photographers resonate with the higher sales because they want to feel validated for the quality of their work. However, when you flip it and make it about the difference you've made to your client, and you know that those high sales are coming because you've made a difference to your client, then that's okay to celebrate. And I love when people celebrate that. But that was just a really fun podcast episode.
Tell you two guys are hanging around with Steve far too long.
Why, did I go over my time limit? What is this time limit thing? Like inventing rules on the fly? Look at you.
All right. Okay, well, I'll make it really, really quick. So my favorite is this week's podcast, 95, Payday Monday. Like, who doesn't want to pay themselves consistently every single week, right? Who doesn't want to do that? You all want to do that, right? So Payday Monday, this podcast shows you how to implement that using the Profit First system that we are all big fans of. So that's my favorite. Okay, so let's go to the people who are the most important people on this call, our difference maker members. So I'm going to start with Claire. Claire,
before you do,
if that's okay.
Before you do, can I just say how amazing I think it is that our members are joining us for episode 100? I think that's awesome. So thank you to all of our members for joining us. It's great.
Thank you.
The first ever podcast we've had members on.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. First of many, hopefully. Claire, my question to you, Claire, is so, in Difference Maker, we learn so much about making it about our client, right? But what has been, if you were to pick just one thing, Claire, one thing that you've got from being in Difference Maker Revolution that you've applied to your business, what has that been?
Well, I've applied more than one thing, but I think if I just applied the one thing, I'd be slightly worried. So I think for me, it's the client journey, client transformation, which is something that is you'll never finish doing, but you strive to keep perfecting all the time. And it's something that we all work on together. And just to make that the most amazing thing. And I think that is probably, along with all the other things of making the difference, it is part of making the difference. That is one small part of the overall global making a difference. But it's the one thing that helps the difference as well make more of an impact. So that, but it's really hard to pick one thing because there's many, many, many things.
All right. Good stuff. Steve, who do you want to talk to?
Oh, I'm going to pick Wendy. Wendy, what inspires you to make a difference? Because you can just see from those glowing reviews of your clients that it's happening. Where does all that come from?
Well, it came from the belief. I had a strong belief that it was about connecting to people, but it was until I met you guys. You are talking my language, and it's something I can resonate with, and I can exchange ideas with on a level that is beyond having the perfect camera and the perfect lens and all that kind of crap, because it's not about that. It's about people. And that's what you are teaching so many of us, that it's about the people, slowing it down and really listening to people. And that's what makes all the difference from beginning to end. So thank you for that. You've inspired me beyond measure.
That's amazing. And what has been what do you feel as though has been the reaction from your clients?
The reaction from my clients, it's always been about the smile of the woman that walks out the door from the beginning. But now that smile has a ripple effect. It's not just her, because you involve all the people around her even more now. That's what you guys teach. It's not just one person. Every person connected to that person is a client, and you have to treat them that way. So it has a ripple effect. If you lift one person, that person goes out and lifts other people. So if you can play a small part in that, well, you've hit jackpot, I think.
I want to ask one more question. I know, we're here to talk business and to talk about, clients and giving them a great experience. But I think as difference makers, we believe that this goes beyond just, the clients and everything. We've got to nurture all of our gardens. So how has this helped your family life and, the life that is Wendy, the mum, Wendy, the wife, not just Wendy, the businesswoman?
Well, you've given my life back. I used to work around the clock, as you know, 22 hours a day. And my kids are seeing a woman that they hardly have seen in years. And they're asking themselves, who is she? Where does she come from? You've given my life back. You've also helped me find people that love people. And now I have a community around me of strong, talented women that strive equally as much as I do to uplift other people. So you've really genuinely given my life back. And I cannot say thank you enough. Not enough to you, not enough to Ronan, Jono, and all the crew. You are amazing people. You are not just changing businesses, but you are changing the heart of every business. And that is the family and the person behind it. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your belief. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Love it. Great example.
Thank you.
Jono, who are you going to talk to?
I want to see has someone done their homework. So I know Kate was one of the first to join, right? And she's doing her hair, making sure she looks fabulous. You always look fabulous, Kate. But what was your favorite podcast episode and why?
So I have two, and they're a little bit different. One, and they're going back a ways, but last year I spent most of the year really focused on chasing my degree at PPA. And so going back to the one about what is the place for photo competition and really reframing that in my brain, because my focus that all of last year had been on getting those merits. But in realizing that as I am improving and receiving those merits, I'm also, it's a way for me to create a better client experience for that. And then my other one, and this is just because it's really changed my business this whole year, is going back to the one that's about discovering your why. And really, I drilled down on that on an individual call with Ronan. And from that, it was the why was always there, right? But I've been able to even more clearly define who I want to work with, who, and how I want to serve them. Because my why is in seeing the infinite value in you. So, and then creating work that reflects that value back to you, so you're able to see it in yourself. And but it really I think the podcast, and then also being in the community and that constant talk about why, really forced me to get really clear on that, and that has really changed the way I'm able to serve my clients.
That's amazing. So how has that changed what you've been doing? Like, what is it extra motivation? Is it like, going the extra mile? What is the tangible impact of discovering that?
I think it's made it more clear that of who I really want to work with, and that is primarily high school seniors, but also their mamas, and what it has changed is, I think, the way I interact with them and the time I take with each client, and really getting to know each client, because it takes getting to know them and what's important to them, and also what's important, especially when you're talking about the high school seniors, what's important to mom and dad as well, about this child as they're transitioning into adulthood, so that I can really create that artwork that reflects that vision of who they see themselves as, and also not just who they see themselves as, but perhaps if I can see something in them that they might not even know is there, be able to show that to them.
So you include the whole family in the experience? No way.
I do.
That's amazing.
Good stuff. And Kate, I really enjoyed working with you to discover your why. And, when you discover your why, it changes your life. It changes
really
your life.
Yeah.
It gets you out of bed even on a bad day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It does. All right, Jeanine, you're up.
I'm up. All right. So looking around. So we've asked several of our female members. So I'm going to go to one of our male members, and I'm going to ask Andrew, being a member of the inner circle now for a while, how has that, give us some ideas of how that has influenced your client experience and the transformational experience you give your client?
I think really it's all the little bits every week that you get of information that you can slowly apply to your business. And it's the way you look after your clients from start to never finishing. Because as we've all learned now, a client's a client for life. They're not just, as we get told off by Steve all the time for saying past. If anyone says past, no one's died. They're alive and they're a client for life. So it's looking after them on that whole journey. So putting all the little nuggets that we get each week together to create something that we can then pass on to our clients and make a real special journey for them. I think it's a little bit of everything. And that's what's special about learning just all the time, because you can never stop learning. There's always somebody's going to say something new that you suddenly go, yeah, I can use that. And that's the key to being consistent, trying to keep up to date with everybody and find out what's going on and staying current, really. So you can pass that on in what we do as photographers and difference makers, really. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a really good answer.
All right. So I'm going across the pond from where I am. So I'm going to Shay. Shay, how are you doing? Hope you're all good.
I'm great.
Good. So Kay, or Shay, from what you've learned in Difference Maker Revolution, how has that impacted the client experience you deliver for your clients?
Oh, wow. Ronan, I remember when I first joined, I thought that I had that nailed. I really did. And then all of you taught me that I was delusional. And then I had so much more to learn. Starting at the beginning of the process, like I've always felt a really deep connection with my clients. And I feel like by the end of their journey that I'm one of their best friends and we become kind of a little family. And I've always done that really well. But there were so many little details that I was missing, like sending happy mail, Jeanine, thank you. Random phone calls that it's not about the session, it's about checking up on them, or, just making them experience the feeling that they're part of a family and that they've made the right decision and creating these memories that are going to last a lifetime. Like that was something that was just kind of an aha moment that you guys gave me. So thank you.
Good stuff. And has that helped your business personally? Like, has that meant that your clients see way more value and are therefore spending more money with you?
Yes. The amount of return clients that I have gained over the last couple of years has really made a difference. Like it's so much easier to get the clients that you have to come back in than to find those new ones. Though I love new ones. But that made a huge, tremendous difference. And then I've noticed, of course, my sales average, it just keeps getting better and better and better. And learning little things that I can tweak to help that really benefits not, my business, but it also benefits my clients that they have permission to spend that money. Steve, where'd I get that?
Yay!
So yeah, it's
then I'll pass it on.
That's great, Shay. Thank you for
well
that.
Done.
Thanks.
Well done.
Steve, I think it's your turn again.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Jason. So how has being a part of this community elevated your business, your clients?
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to that. One of the things, going back to the question about the podcast, in April, we moved into a new studio space and I was working on this space, and that gave me an opportunity to catch up on a bunch of podcasts at that point. And one of the ones that made a difference for me was that it's not about luxury. It's about making a difference. And I'd been a part of the group for some time and some of those things, but there was something about the way that was expressed that really resonated with me. I think most of the time when we're as photographers and we're wanting to increase our sales, we think, well, if what I need is I just need somebody with a lot of money. And so I need to go after that target, that market that has a lot of money and be a luxury photographer or something like that. And not realizing that what really needs to happen is we need to be creating that experience for people that resonates with them, and they become that client that we're really wanting. And so that perspective shift has really been great for me, and it's been special for my clients, having the opportunity to realize that it's not transactional when I'm on the phone with them. It's relational. I'm trying to build a relationship, find what's important to my clients, and then give back to them what they said is important is really what I'm trying to do. And if I can give back to them the thing that they said was important, they're going to say back to me, that's exactly what I want. And so I'm seeing that. And that perspective has also allowed me to have really meaningful conversations with people, today I had a conversation with a woman who declined the session. She just said, all these things are going on in my life and I just don't have I can't do it. And then she told me some of the things that were going on in her life. And that gave me the opportunity, because I had already had that conversation. We'd already established rapport. We'd already gone a little bit deeper into things. I had an opportunity to really speak into her moment with hope and love and grace. And she was just blown away that somebody she hadn't met was concerned about where she was, what was happening. And that's the business I want to create. If she becomes a client, I don't know, but that's I want her to know, whether I photograph her or not, she's been seen. And that's something that being in a group of people like this has allowed me to express in a lot of different ways. And I've seen my sales numbers are improving because of it, but my sense of satisfaction in those things is also going up along with that.
That's awesome. So that whole idea is very dear to my heart, in that we create great clients. It's our responsibility. And from that place, there's an abundance of clients for everyone. We're not competing with that person down the road because we are creating great clients. We shouldn't be chasing the people that we think are the rich clients, because everybody has a potential to be a great client for us, which is living in a world of abundance.
One other thing that's been very meaningful to me is every business, especially if you're a solopreneur, you're just a couple of people working, you run into difficulties or struggles and you don't know where to go. And what I've really appreciated is I have a community, a place, a forum to ask questions of mentors who have experience, but also of the other members who have really been great about responding to questions that I've posted and giving me their perspective and helping me unwind some puzzles that I've had in my business. And so I've really appreciated that community element too.
Yay to the members. Well done, Jason. Thank you.
That was actually my favorite episode as well, before I found my second favorite episode. That was the original one I've written down here on my list. So yeah, love that one too.
You can't steal it. It's Jason's.
I know. I didn't steal it, did I? Did I?
No copying and pasting, Jonathan. No copying and pasting.
No copying and pasting. No, we slag our tech team about that all the time. It's just copy and paste, isn't it? I have to go because they were laughing, so they're up to no good. Now, we might need a translator for this, but Double Trouble. I christened Darren and Rianne Whiteley Double Trouble on a call way back. I can't remember exactly when. And I christened them Double Trouble because they're always up to no good, right? You could see them typing away there. I bet you they're messaging Wendy or someone else and they're saying, talking about something. So Double Trouble.
Yeah.
How are you guys tonight?
We're fantastic.
Good. I think everyone understood that, so that's great. We'll get the AI out if we don't.
Yeah, he was taught in Scotland to talk slow.
There we go. For when he's making the photographer call to the clients, right? All right. So, talk to us. Actually, let's go back to the podcast. So, do you guys have a favorite episode from the podcast?
Rianne doesn't. She doesn't listen to podcasts, but I do.
Go on.
Mine is episode 72, which is the one about getting oxygen in your tank. Because oxygen, you don't really have a business and you struggle. So, with that episode, that sort of helped me sort of focus on filling the oxygen tank on. I am slowing, right?
Okay, I'm just telling you. Yeah. I haven't slapped you across the head yet. It's fine.
But that would be probably one of my favourite episodes. But they're all good. I quite often come back from the gym, wake Rianne up and say, I've listened to this podcast, we've got to put this in place,
Wow, how amazing is that from the podcast you're picking up nuggets to put in place. So being a part of, I always love telling the story about how, when we first got going years ago, 4 years ago. You were the first ever members. You joined, then you left straight away, and you fecked off for 6 months, and then you came back. But talk to us. How the good thing is you came back and you're crushing it now. So how has being a member influenced your client experience? What has changed about the experience you're delivering for your clients?
Oh God.
What hasn't changed?
Yeah, there's so much.
Your turn to talk.
Okay. No, there's so much that has changed. It's hard to put it all into words, but we left for a little bit because it was COVID. And I think we were a little bit lost. We didn't know where we were ourselves.
And we were following the trend of the industry on stopping everything, which we shouldn't have been, you know?
But then when it did come in, I did feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. I felt, am I going to really, belong in this group? Because I don't do photography. I'm just a people person. But everyone welcomed me with open arms, and I've not looked back since. I've changed the way I talk to clients, act with clients, be with them. I don't deal with them anymore, okay?
Never would do that, right?
No, we never do that.
Never, ever, ever, as Steve would say.
But yeah, everything has changed within our studio, and we have gone from being a studio that didn't pay me a wage at all, paid my husband, but didn't pay me, to a studio that pays the two of us, plus our makeup artist, and we are looking at taking on a fourth person in the new year. But yeah, it's changed our lives.
Yeah. And it's thanks to you guys and all the members,
Yeah. Because we've had a really good community here. I've got good friendships with many of the people who are actually on podcast tonight. I love you all. And I wish I could just, get together. So, a lot, because some of you, the other side of the world, it's like, it's hard. But, it's how it is. I'm already on the thing of when me and you have reached our goal weight, we're coming over to Belgium to see Wendy for her to do a couple photo shoot. So yeah, it's just growing the community and growing the family within us, and I just love it. Absolutely love it.
There's a time.
So I know this was not my question, and I know that Jeanine's next, but I do have to ask one thing. Darren, have you got your coffee machine yet?
No, but I've got a coffee machine in the house, so I'm halfway there.
Okay. So just so everyone knows, they've been doing their profit distributions every quarter, celebrating everything, and all poor Darren wants is a coffee machine. And he's wanted this coffee machine for 4 years, but Rianne keeps spending the money in celebration on other things. But I'm sure someday, Darren will get his way and get his coffee machine.
I mean, they
Jeanine,
got a hot tub out of it, so that's pretty good, right?
You got a hot tub and a decking.
Likes to
Well, he's got one in the house. His parents bought it for him.
Someday you'll get the coffee machine. I know you will. Jeanine, over to you.
All right. So I'll ask Dwayne. He's been a member for a long time. Almost one of our original members, maybe? Yeah. So what do you enjoy? Why do you stay around? Why do you stick around with us? What do you like most about being in the inner circle?
Oh my God, Jeanine just asked me that question. I stay around just for you, Jeanine.
You great.
Oh, what? I thought it was me. Come on.
Steve, I have to admit, you are number 2. You came in just behind Jeanine.
Janine's always number 1.
We won't ask you who's third and fourth, Dwayne, so it's okay.
Well, that would be the royal family.
Oh, look at you. Very good.
I always wanted to be in a pond with bigger fish, because if I'm not challenged to grow, then I become stagnant. So this group is a bunch of working, amazing people that are all on a very similar mission. And it doesn't matter whether I am talking to somebody who is a solopreneur, or if I am talking to the teams in here that are 4, 5, 8 people, because we've all been on a similar growth path. And at no given time is anybody having the same problem that may be taught at a specific point, but they've lived through it and they can offer advice to help on the growth journey. That is hands down the number one reason why I'm here. And it's real live useful advice. In terms of the podcast, I would have to say number 33, because that is how to empower people to desire and want the photography we create. If you live in the PPA world, if you live in any of the photographer forums, there is all of this talk about education. And the education in general is making the photographer the center of the universe and devaluating the client. And so people are struggling for $100, $500 sales instead of empowering the people to value their lives and invest in their own lives, which in turn allows us to create something that they want, desire, and are more than happy to give us lots of money for. And whatever money they choose to give us, it will always be less money than what they value and what they're valuing and what they get in return from what any of us create for them. It's 45 minutes, guys. I'm going to stop there.
There's always a small danger in asking Dwayne a question, but I figured I'd take my chances.
It's the Californian air, right? Is that right, Dwayne?
Yes, it is.
And some Irish genes, in there too. All right. Isabel, all the way from Dallas, Texas. How's it going?
Good. It's starting to get a little cooler.
Her Texas accent is...
Oh, yes. You love my Texan accent.
I love the Texan accent.
So they've changed the Texan accent to be a sort of a French lilt to it now. Is that it? All right. Okay. Good stuff. So Isabel, my question to you is, so you've been a member for way back too, right? So what has your greatest learning been in Difference Maker Revolution that's made a difference to your client?
So, in fact, there are many things, but there is one thing that I absolutely didn't know anything about before. This is the profit first, and because part of me is OWLE.
Owl.
Oh, yeah.
Owl.
And the other one is more the dove. So the owl part of me likes to know where we are on the business. And I am so happy that you taught us, or you teach us, the profit first, because it makes such a difference to know really where we are. And to do that in a simple way, in a simple way. So that I absolutely love it, because part of us are in business. And what I love also that, everything I learn about relationship, caring for people, this is really who I am. And I have not been able to see that anywhere. So in fact, I have been able to reconcile both sides of me, which is really the part who really wants to do business and to be able to do whatever I want with my family, and also to support other people in the community. But to do that, I need revenue. I need a business, a solid business. And at the same time, the real inside me is to care for people, to support them, to help them. And here I am at the right place. because this is the way we talk together. This is what we want to achieve all together. And there is always somebody who has a little idea for me to go to the next step, to try a little other something, to see a little bit more sparkles in the eyes of people and for them to be so happy so I'm so happy that I have been able to reconcile both of them. So this is really, 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 really the big thing. And I love all your faces and I love all your smiles. And I love when we brainstorm and we talk together about little things during our session where we try to improve and all this. One thing is that all this little thing that we can apply. Because it's good to talk about philosophy or things, but we also need little things that we can implement from one week to another to make one person progress every week. And at the end of a year, we have made a lot of progress. And we are inspired and it's kind of the effect that we can grow in the care and the difference we make.
Yes, and this you just said the support that the members we all give each other, like the members. It's not about the mentor team. It's about the community working together, right, with a common mission, and willing to help each other. The amount of times I see you guys jumping on a call with another person to help them is just amazing what you do. Steve, over to you.
Again, I've got to pick Paul because Paul's constantly, asking me questions and, picking my brain. So I've got to get him back now. This is your turn, Paul, to be put on the spot. What has made the biggest difference for you about this community?
Well, really, Steve, it's been an evolution from the beginning of this to the very early days. And to slowly get new information each week, which you cogitate and think about, apply, philosophize on and think, hang on a minute, why don't I think of this? Why these guys are talking a completely different language to what the industry teaches us. A completely different language. And as a result of that, my focus has now changed completely from awards and nonsense and that sort of stuff to being completely, what is it that I can do for the customer? What is it that they want? How can I help them? What can I do to make a difference to their lives? And the result, I'm seeing those results now with people coming back. In actual fact, one customer's now come back 5 times since February last year with various other little bits and pieces they've asked me to do. And I'll now get people at the end of their sessions talking about booking a next session.
That's fantastic. And they've spent well with you?
Yes. Yeah. And
you're a quiet achiever, Paul, aren't you? You're the quiet achiever, just plugging away. It's great. It's great. So what's the biggest satisfaction for you?
Knowing that we make a difference and seeing that across all genres of photography, whether it's families we're photographing or pets, seeing that difference with people when they see their artwork for the first time, they open that and they go, wow. And the most profound thing was May last year when I delivered some wall art and helped the customer put it up on the walls. And they had a little girl who's, at the time she was 9 months old. The mum had gone out shopping with the 2 little kids. And I was helping the dad put this artwork up, a nice collection from a guy called Steve Saporito who developed this stuff with Loxley Colour. We put it up on the conservatory wall. And when the mum came in with the 2 little kids, the little boy was 3 at the time, the little girl was 9 months. The little girl was shouting because she see her grandma in there who was actually from India, and was off to New York to see her other daughter, The little girl, 9 months old, was shouting when she saw the artwork, going, "Mama, Mama, Dada, Dada!" And I thought, wow, a 9-month-old girl has taught me the most profound lesson of my life. That how important this is and how strongly that connection is with family members.
Beautiful thing.
That's what you guys taught. Thank you.
Beautiful thing. Thank you, Paul. That was great. Thank you.
Jonathan, we still have some people who I know have told us that they want to share. So
we do, yes. I'm just making my way through the screen. So who's next? Sushil, how are you this evening? I know it's evening for you in UK.
I am fine, thank you.
Do you have a favorite podcast episode?
For me, it rather than the podcast, it's more about. I mean, I started my journey with Steve quite a few years ago at the Glasgow workshops, which completely transformed our business and the way we interact with customers. We actually had, I don't know if you know, but just before we met Steve, we were on the edge of actually giving up photography because we had lost our why. And the conversation we had with Steve, and Steve just said, just come on, just come to Glasgow. And we did. And it really transformed what we did and how we did our business. The focus initially was, you get a client in, you book them in as quickly as possible, give them a price list, they go away, they come back, spend a few £100, walk away, done, line. That just doesn't happen anymore. It's so many stories we've had with clients where clients have actually cried when they've seen their portraits. Maybe wall art, maybe an album, maybe photographs in a treasure box, and it's the interaction with the client and the customer and genuinely getting to know them. We do. I've said this to Steve before. We do quite a lot of passport photographs. And the primary reason for that, I take half an hour to do a passport photograph. It's okay. It takes maybe 5 minutes to print them off. But what I'm doing is having that conversation with them, about their life, about what they do, about their children. And I would never have asked those questions hadn't I had the exposure to what Steve has taught us. Next few weeks we've got again clients coming in simply through passport. It's the conversations. It's all about the conversations. And so yes, some people say, "Oh, I don't want to know about this," and just close down. But I'd probably say about 80-90% they genuinely want to talk. And that's what surprised me a little bit. But so I think that's the biggest difference that's made to our business. I don't know if that helps.
That's amazing.
Well done.
Yeah. And Steve, yes, you're my favorite person as well.
I got one, Jeanine. I got one.
Over to you, Jeanine.
Thanks, Shashil.
All right. So, Paulo, I want to ask you a question because you're like a photographer's photographer, right? Like you're a photographer's photographer. And so I know in the beginning you kind of resisted some of the ideas because it went against some of what you have always believed in. So I would love to know, like, what has struck you about becoming a difference maker to combine that with the art that you create to make a difference in someone's life?
That's such an incredibly well-timed question because I just, I'm dressed up a little bit because I had a meeting with two people. One is a client. The other one is a person who just gave me a $1,500 referral. So, and I was telling them how hard it's been, to get this business started. I come from a completely different background. I was in software. One day I got so fed up with it and I wanted to be in cinematography, photography for years and years and years. And one day I just said, screw that. I'm 100% there. I know how to photograph people. So I could create a good portfolio, start advertising on Facebook. It will happen. 6 years later, it wasn't happening. I was, I was at the end of my rope. And that's when I found you guys. And I always talk about how much I love the brutality of business, in the sense that business is just, you either get it right or you get it wrong. There is no, in between. So I was getting it wrong, obviously, because I had a decent portfolio. My ads were not working at all, and I was struggling to market myself. And then you guys came on board and you say, truly, and that was a difficult, as you said, a very difficult thing to digest. Nobody gives a damn about your photos. They really want to, what is the significance of the experience? The photos are sort of like a vehicle to deliver that experience. Like, oh, come on, I mean, I have film cameras, for crying out loud. And that was very hard, but that was again, the brutality of business, if one to accept it, otherwise get out of it, is that at some point you recognize your mistakes. And I'm not an asshole, you know what I mean? I ask and I'm not an asshole about it. I listen to the experts. I know, I knew Steve by reputation, but I started early on with you guys before all of you joined forces. It's okay, what I have to lose? I'm literally at the end of my money here, so I need to change something. And it made a big change. It made a big difference. The relationship with my clients has improved vastly. And it is a big satisfaction for me too. I mean, it really gives more of a meaning to what we're doing. Maybe sometimes the meaning is an intuition, is something that we have in the background, but having it so clearly stated and described and taught and put into steps, if you want, was a big change. It was absolutely dramatic. So thank you very much for making it happen.
Well done, Paolo. And we didn't make anything happen. We're just guiding people. You guys are doing all the work and making the difference to your clients. So.
You're being modest, Ronan. You're being modest. So. The collection of all your wisdom is extremely valuable. That you want to share it is extremely valuable. That you have the clarity of how you're sharing it is particularly valuable. So
that bit's really hard with Steve, but we're working on it.
All right. So I want to go to Scott. I'm going to go across to Dallas again. I'm okay to use the word Dallas, right, Scott? I know I'm not being precise, but
no, you are. It's close enough. I'm in Dallas. I live in Plano. I think I just learned of a new friend that I didn't know lived in Dallas. So Isabel, I'll have to chat with her at some point. What's your question?
I know you've trained with Steve for many, 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 many years. So my question is,
we're not that old.
Steve is.
What has been your biggest takeaway that you've applied to your business that has made a difference, not just to your clients, but made a difference to you and your business?
Well, it's like everybody says, the relationship is key. And for the first time in my photography career 5 years ago, I found somebody who actually speaks that language, because in Professional Photographer Association, nobody tends to speak that language, or they give a loose terminology of relationship. And then here's the price for your wall portrait. And you better sell that first before you sell small prints, because otherwise you're not going to get the wall portrait. So, I'm not going to be long-winded. I know I have only a minute or so. I want to tell a quick story that Steve's forgotten about. Okay. So, here we go, Steve. So I met Steve in 2019 at Imaging, and it was during his course. I think that was the first time he was at Imaging. And that's after years of me literally yelling at the director of education at PPA for 2 years, asking her, why is there nobody that'll teach somebody once they cross six figures how to make more money? And you know who I'm talking about, Ronan. So, and lovely lady. So here's Steve in this conference, have no idea who this guy is. I wasn't even going to go to his thing because I'm like, there's no way that makes sense, his topic of what that thing was. I walk into the room, it's packed. And as it turned out, I'm glad I went there because everything he talked about on stage was everything he teaches here. It's all about relationship. And so at the end of the conference, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever heard somebody talk this way. So I go down and find him at the booth of the company he helped develop the wall portraits for. And I introduced myself and I said, hey, Steve, I've got a question. I said, so your topic was how to go from $3,000 a month to $30,000 a month, but it sounds like you can make more than that. And why did you limit yourself to that topic? And he goes, excuse my French ahead of time. Well, if I would have effing said you can make $100,000 a month, nobody would have effing come to my conference. So, I mean, that was my first interaction to Steve. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I like this guy. Good. So at the end of the day, you know, it's not just about making money. It's about making relationships first and not even caring about the revenue. It's about taking somebody's interests in mind first. It's a human nature thing. It's what we should be doing in our lives all the time. And then occasionally somebody might come back and want to reward you with some business and some revenue. And so that's the big message that I've taken to heart over every client interaction I've had, whether I'm following this exact process or not. And the business over the last 5 years has grown because of it. And I get, just like everybody in the call, constant thank yous for the small team that we've built here and what we do and the care that we take for all of our clients.
It's great.
And,
thank you.
And that number's possible, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's possible.
Great.
Who says I haven't hit it, Steve?
Yet.
Yet.
You want to see my returns?
All right, Jonathan. I know you're going to go to the other side of the world now, to Hawaii.
Yes, we couldn't not go to Hawaii. So, Jennifer, I know you had a late night and you're not on camera. That's okay. We'll still hear your dulcet tones, but had to go to Jennifer. Jennifer, I mean, you were one of the original founding members as well, and you're our only concierge client right now. So we have the privilege of meeting you every single week. And one of the most inspiring things for us is the shift in your mindset and the belief that you have in your clients over the last 2, 3, 4 years, and how you've really honed in on creating an amazing experience for your clients. So just talk to us. For you, what has been a member of the Difference Maker family that we have here? What has that allowed you to deliver for your clients?
Well, first of all, thank you to all the mentors and all the members, because it is a community and we all are helping one another. And I love that. And I know for a fact that without this group, I would not have a photography business. I would have folded after, I think, probably during COVID, I would have shut down and never opened up. And starting off with you guys during COVID, I didn't implement anything right away, but I did listen and pay attention and take notes and ponder it all. And when Ronan did, I think, a podcast with Steve, that connected with me. It resonated with me because I do care about my clients and I wanted to make sure that they had the best journey. So I'm a believer of my business is never stagnant. I'm always evolving, always trying to do the best that I can for my clients. And so I'm always learning, whether it's changing my mindset or implementing something. And so with the help of concierge, it's given me the confidence to know that I can bring clients in and take care of them through the whole process. So I have no favorites as far as mentors. I think you all four are fabulous, and I appreciate each and every one of you for what you bring to the group and how you have individually helped me along the way. And it's so wonderful to see my clients and know that I have the power and the honor
to touch their lives where somebody else may not have been able to do what I have done for them. And that is taking the time to show them that they matter, their little ones matter, and helping them slow down and smell the roses.
That's amazing. Well done, you, and thank you for sharing. Ronan, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't do a wrap up, right? So I know you're going to do the wrap up, but I'll do the wrap up before the wrap up, okay? So when you're ready to join this amazing community of difference makers, all you have to do is click the link below this podcast and apply to join the inner circle. We would love to have you in our incredible community. You've been introduced to some of our incredible members tonight. So thank you all for joining us tonight. That's bye from me.
And it's bye from me as well. But thank you to our members. You guys are amazing. You guys are why we do this, because it's you that are making the difference to your clients. So thank you.
And it's not bye for me until everybody smiles for my camera. I'm going to be the dorky photographer mentor, and we're going to take a group picture here. So everybody smile. Thank you. Bye for me.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for pouring your hearts into every client. And it's through you that we get to make an incredible, incredible world and an incredible difference. So thank you to all of you.